what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at something that's kind of crazy. What we have here is the brand new Marvel Legends Gorr as he appears in the upcoming Marvel movie Thor: Love and Thunder. And what's crazy about him and the rest of the wave that he's a part of is the fact that this wave actually started to hit stores before Hasbro revealed it and before Marvel had a chance to reveal these character designs and before they were able to put out a trailer. So this is actually our introduction to the way that Gorr is going to look in the movie. And that's kind of crazy, you know? And it's weird because it wasn't like it just popped up at one random Walmart and some random Legends fan got lucky. It started to pop up all over the place. I know people that found this in the South, on the East Coast. I know several people in California. I know a few people in the Bay Area that found them. Like, they were popping up all over the place. So at this point, there's a couple of different reviews up online. A bunch of people have posted pictures on Instagram. So I think most people have already seen this at this point. But, you know, I was able to get my hands on these. Shout out to Screw Toys. He reviewed these, and then he hooked me up with Gorr and a couple of the other figures. And I'm not going to review all of them, but I did want to review Gorr because I'm interested in him. I like him from the comics. I think he was a badass villain. I like Christian Bale a lot, and I'm interested to see how they portray him. So far, I like the character design. I know a lot of people were kind of upset with the way he looked based on this figure, but I think we need to wait and see how he actually looks in the movie to get like a really good sense of how well he's going to be portrayed, you know? Like, once we see it in motion and him doing his thing, I'm sure a lot of people are going to like it. But personally, just based on this, I dig it. I like the design. But anyways, enough of all that shit. Let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. It's your standard Marvel Legends packaging. You are able to see the figure through the window. You can see that he comes with a sword and a Build-A-Figure piece. Down here, it does say Thor: Love and Thunder. On the side of the box, we get some really awesome looking artwork. You could really see Christian Bale in that artwork, so that is super dope. On the back, we get some more of that artwork, and then we get a very brief description of Gorr, and then down here we get a look at all the other figures that it takes to build the Build-A-Figure from this wave, which is like another version of Korg, which looks pretty cool. So I do look forward to building that. And yeah, this whole wave is all movie figures, so that's kind of cool. So if you're like a pure comic book guy, you could just skip this. And if you're a hardcore movie enthusiast, then you could pick all these guys up and be happy to get like a full set based on the movie. That's pretty awesome. And then on this side of the box, we get the same artwork that we saw on the other side. Aside from that, the packaging is collector friendly like all Marvel Legends. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and get Gorr out and take a look. All right, so here we have Gorr right out of the box. And I've got to say, I really do like this figure. And honestly, the more time that I spend with it, the more I enjoy the design. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't really look exactly like Gorr. But now that I get a really close look at it, even though it's not 100% accurate to the way that Gorr looks in the comics, it does have a very similar tone and feel and just presence to it. Like in the comics, to me, Gorr seems like a very scary character, but he feels scary like a monster, you know? This version feels scary in like a weird, creepy, ghostly type of way. And that's just kind of how he comes across. He does have a very ghost-like design, but at the same time, he does feel like an old, ancient monster of some sort, you know, that's just been around forever terrorizing the gods. And I just love it, man. I think that this design is cool. I don't know. I know people were kind of bashing on it when they first saw this, but to me, I think it does its job. It would have been cool to get like a more comic book version of Gorr with like some black in it somehow, or like, you know, like maybe cut off his nose. That's one thing I wish was different on his design. I wish that he didn't have a nose. I wish that he had more like a snake-like face, but I think that might have taken away from the Christian Bale recognition of it. So maybe that's why they left it. And, you know, as it is right now, I'm still cool with it. I would have preferred the snake-like nose, but I'm okay with what we have going on here because his face just looks hella scary. And all the scars and everything on him, he looks very creepy. And that is definitely what you want out of Gorr. So even though this is not exactly like the way I see the character in my head, I think that the feeling is definitely there. And yeah, it's awesome, man. And as far as the figure goes, they did a great job with all the sculpting. There's a whole bunch of detail in here. I love the scars. I like the skin tone, the robes, the contrast with the black sword. It just came out really nice. And then getting in close to take a look at the awesome sculpting work, starting off with the head, I really think that Hasbro did an incredible job on this head sculpt. Obviously, I don't know exactly how accurate it is, but I will say this looks amazing. I really, really like this. Look how terrifying he looks, man. That is super scary and just creepy. I like how his eyes look with like the black around them, you know. He almost looks tired. And I love how you could see Christian Bale's facial features in there, but they're not too distracting, you know? But man, that is awesome. I love the lifeless skin tone that he has. It's very much corpse-like, and I think that is super dope. He looks like a super old being. Looks like he's been around fighting for a long time. Man, look at that head sculpt. Jeez, that's awesome. And then we do have some really nice scarring and stuff that goes up over the top of his head and then carries on the back of his head and then on the neck. So that all looks amazing. And then he does have like this purple stuff on the side of his head, and I don't know if that's like veins or what, but it looks it looks just off-putting and weird in a good way, you know? It's just kind of crazy. I hope it's veins and not just like tattoos or something. If it's like veins, that would be freaking scary, you know? But yeah, this is a dope head sculpt. I really, really love this. Man. Yeah, that's awesome. And then moving down into the body, his clothing has some really nice sculpted texture in there. Look at the detail. That looks awesome. And then same thing for the scarf, like cape thing that he has going on. And then when we look at the back of that, you could see that a lot of it's bunched up right here, like maybe it could have been a hood or something. So yeah, that looks good. But man, look at all the detail on there. The sculpting work on it is really nice. And I like how at the bottom here, it's like dirty and torn up and just old and messed up, you know. Look at that. That looks really good. And then under the, whatever this is, the skirt, he's basically just wearing sweatpants or something. So that's not as cool. But oh, check that out. Pinless knees. Awesome stuff. And pinless elbows. So they didn't half-ass it, which is nice. And then speaking of like the arms and the elbows and stuff, we have some nice sculpting work on here too that matches the head. Like with the scars. Look at his creepy ass hands with his black fingertips. That's gross. Yeah, we've got the pinless elbows that look really good. Look at the scars on the shoulder. Same thing over here. But yeah, man. You know, at first the figure looks kind of simple and stuff, but once you get it in hand and start taking a close look at what we have going on here, it looks good, man. And they did a great job with the sculpting. They really went all out. There's a whole bunch of detail in there. He's got the pinless knees and elbows, an amazing head sculpt. So yeah, I think they did a great job with the way this figure looks. I'm very happy with it. And he doesn't come with a whole bunch of accessories or anything, but he does come with the Build-A-Figure piece. This is Korg's leg, and this is kind of cool to get a different version of Korg. I look forward to building this. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know if I need that, but now that I see pieces of it in person, I do think that it's pretty cool. So I look forward to putting that together. And then aside from that, he does come with his Necro sword. And he has no problem holding it. It's a little loose in his grip, but for the most part, you can make it work. And yeah, this is a cool looking sword. There's a lot of nice detail. I like the weird texture on the blade. That looks crazy. Again, it looks like a very old weapon that he's been using for thousands of years to run around and kill gods. So yeah, that's a dope looking sword, and there's not a whole lot of paint. It's all black, but it does have like a brown handle, so I do like the way that came out. It would have been nice if he came with some extra hands and stuff, just to give him some like expression options, you know, because like I love the fact that he has an open hand on this side, and I just feel like you could achieve much more expressive poses with different types of hands. So I'm happy that he has one open hand, but I would have preferred if he came with two. As it is right now, you have to have him holding the sword or he's going to look a little goofy. So it would have been cool to get some more hands. But aside from that, you know, I'm happy that he came with the sword and a Build-A-Figure piece. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Odin and the Marvel Legends Thor that came in the 2-pack with Lady Sif. And I really like the way that Gorr looks next to these two characters. He's about the same size or the same height as Odin, and I'm okay with that. But I really like that he's so much smaller than Thor. Thor like towers over him, and I think that's very cool that Gorr is a much like smaller and less physically threatening than someone like Thor. But you know, I'm sure he's gonna give give him some trouble in the movie, and that's kind of like the whole concept of the character. So I think that works out really well, and I do like the way they look next to each other. So that's awesome. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Endgame Thor and the Marvel Legends Infinity War Thor. And as you can see, they aren't quite as big as that previous Thor, but they're still bigger than Gorr, so I think that works out really well. I like the way these three look together. And then next up we have Gorr alongside the Marvel Legends Disney Plus wave Scarlet Witch and the Marvel Legends Into the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange. And I would be curious to see Gorr and Doctor Strange cross paths with each other. I know that they're not necessarily in the same corner of the Marvel Universe, but you know, Doctor Strange could go anywhere. So it'd be cool to see him and Gorr throw down just a little bit. And then now here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Avengers 1 Loki. And you know what? That might be the best movie Loki that Hasbro has given us so far. Unless like there's one I just can't remember or something for whatever reason. But this has been my favorite Hasbro Loki ever since it came out, you know? Like they haven't topped him. He's been in my display ever since then. And he's been out for like 12 years or something. I remember I got that whole wave when it first dropped when the first movie came out. So yeah, this one, that's a good figure, and it's kind of crazy that Hasbro hasn't topped him yet. Unless, it's just slipping my mind right now. Let me know in the comments if there's a better Loki than that Avengers 1 Loki. And then on the other side, we have the Marvel Legends Worthy Captain America. And then last but not least, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. So taking a look at the articulation, as you can imagine, there's really not a whole lot going on, but that's not a big surprise given the character design. But I do think that they gave us some pretty good stuff, so I'm happy with it. I am having fun posing him around, even though he is kind of limited. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's remove the cape thing so it doesn't really get in the way here. And that comes off with no problem at all. So starting off at the head, he is able to look side to side. He's got some really nice tilt, which I love because you could really get him into some like creepy type of poses with that. He could look up to about right there. He could look down to right there. And that's about it for the head. There's only movement at the upper neck, nothing at the lower neck. They probably wanted to preserve the integrity of the sculpt down there, so I get it. But yeah, the head definitely has some pretty decent movement. And then for the torso, we have a ball joint at the waist, which I like. I like this setup. It kind of reminds me of Mythic Legions. They did the same thing with Kang the Conqueror and I believe Doctor Doom. So this setup could definitely work. I almost want to pop it apart and see if I could just maybe, you know, trim in there to give them a little bit more movement. But, you know, as it is right now, I could live with it. You could go side to side a pretty decent amount. You could go back to about right there, go forward to right there, and then he can twist. And yeah, this is smooth. This feels good here. So pretty good stuff at the waist. And then for the arms, we just have ball jointed shoulders that do go all the way around. You can bring his arm up to about right there, which is not too bad. He has upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. Bam, look at that. Pretty good. And then on his sword gripping side, we have a swivel at the wrist and then vertical hinge. And then on the opposite side, we have a swivel and then just your standard hinge. The legs are really restricted because of, you know, his clothing here. But, you know, they've got good articulation. You could kick his leg forward only to about right there, obviously, because his clothes is in the way. But you could kick him out to the side to about right there, which is not too bad, all things considered. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe if, like, you cut this or something, you could probably get a lot more movement if you just kind of make this go a little bit higher. Should have done that. And then he does have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, bam. And then at the lower leg, we have a swivel at the ankle, which is nice. And then his foot could go forward to right there, come up to right there. And then we have rocking ankles. So yeah, you know, when you see a design like this, you're going to know automatically that there's not going to be a whole lot of articulation. But thankfully, you could get some really good movement out of his upper body. So you can get him in some pretty decent like sword swinging poses and that type of thing. But it's going to be hard to do anything dynamic with his legs, you know. You can bring his legs out to the side, which kind of helps you get him into some poses. That's not a very good pose, but, you know, you could definitely get things going with him. It just, because of the character design, it's going to be tough to do anything really dynamic, you know. But I'm happy with the articulation on the upper side of the figure. And they did what they could with the legs, but unfortunately, they're just covered by this thing. So, might be a good idea just to take this off and then get like a soft goods situation going. I don't know, because I like the way this looks a lot. But yeah, it's really restrictive. Alright, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a pretty cool figure. I love the way he looks. I think that Hasbro did a great job with the sculpting. There's a lot of nice detail on him, some good paint. He does have some pretty decent articulation, but unfortunately, it is kind of hindered and restricted because of the character design, but that is understandable. As far as the accessories go, I do wish that he came with a little bit more. He's definitely light in that department. It would have been nice if he came with some extra hands or something like that, but you know, it is what it is. At least we got the sword and the Build-A-Figure piece, so that's something. But aside from that, I'm really happy with this figure. I think that he came out awesome. And how much I like this figure is really dependent on how cool the character is in the movie, you know, because the look alone isn't really like mind-blowing. But what really makes me like this character design is the potential for how crazy he's going to be in the movie, because we all know Christian Bale is like an amazing actor. He's one of my favorite actors. He could bring so much to a role, and just imagining him as like this, you know, super old, ancient, god-killing monster is very interesting to me. And I think like if you take that and then this look, we have the potential for something really amazing, you know? I think that this could be a very cool, terrifying character to go against Thor. So that's going to be awesome. But then on the other hand, if you know, he's a goofy ass character and he's not scary and he's just weak, it's going to make this figure a lot less appealing, you know, and it's going to be like, oh, look at this guy wearing robes, walking around, cracking jokes or whatever. But if it's a guy like this, all white robes, scars all over his skin, and he's running around killing shit, then it's going to be like, all right, yeah, this is awesome. So, and I'm not, you know, I'm not saying like if he sucks in the movie, I'm not going to like him, because that's obvious. I'm just saying like the way that he's portrayed in the movie is really it's going to kind of dictate what I feel about the design, if that makes any sense, you know, because just looking at the design and thinking of the potential, I think it has a lot going for it. But if he sucks, then this design is going to be a lot less appealing. But anyways, yeah, man, I think this is an awesome figure. He came out great. I can't wait to see Gorr in the movie. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to let me know what you think of this character design in the comments below. I'm really interested to see what people say. I've heard a lot of negative stuff, which I really don't understand. It's kind of hard to judge like a character, even the design, just based on, you know, like a early figure or whatever. You know, we really got to see how he functions in the movie to get a good sense of like this, if whether or not this design works, you know. But just off this, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the figure. Also, be sure to comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live or that I put out a video. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. So come through, let's talk about toys and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.